I want to thank Kurt for a great paper, and I am not going to say too much about the Article 4 part, other than to thank him for having written it. It's quite wonderful. I want to engage in what may be hindsight bias and talk instead about the part that Kurt focused on, namely right at the end, the question whether privileges and immunities, privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States refer to the right to distinctively national citizenship, that is to say the equivalent for U.S. citizenship of the rights that we call privileges and immunities and rights of state citizenship and referred to in Article 4. And this is an area in which it would be and it would have been extremely useful if there were terms of art, if there were technically understood, precise formulations such that everyone knew what they were talking about. Because one of the tricky things about American constitutional law is that American federalism produces two citizenships, state citizenship and national citizenship. But the vast bulk of Americans have both of them. And so keeping those two straight can be quite tricky. One of the especially tricky things about the phrase that actually appears in the 14th Amendment is that it refers to the privileges and immunities, privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States. That is to say, it refers to the people. It doesn't refer to the citizenships, creating the possibility that since people by and large have two citizenships, as just indicated by the prior sentence of the 14th Amendment, maybe it refers to both sets, but since it's citizens of the United States, maybe there is an implicit restriction to only the rights of national citizenship. And of course, Justice Miller tried to get a little rhetorical advantage by applying some emphasis there in Slaughterhouse and italicizing of the United States part. So it would be really helpful to know that there was a term of art, there was a well-accepted technical meaning of that particular phrase that pointed in one of those directions and said it may sound look like it's talking about the people, but it's talking about the rights of one of their citizenships. And the story that Kurt tells specifically about the evolution of the phrase found in the 14th Amendment is, I think, to some extent a promising one. Because one way terms of art develop is they start off in a context in which the meaning that will become the term of art meaning is indeed the natural meaning. And that meaning becomes so well associated with the words that they retain that meaning in other contexts in which it might not be the most natural meaning. And that's one of the marks of a term of art, is there are situations in which the technical users understand that it is departing from what would be the most natural meaning of the word in whatever context is now being used. And a home context in which the natural meaning and the term of art meaning coincide, I think that's part of the story Kurt's telling about the Missouri debate, is a plausible account of how this can happen. That said, I have some questions specifically about the Missouri debate and how much information we can get from them, basically for two reasons. The first is, it seems to me that the participants in that argument were talking past one another. That the opponents of the Talmadge restriction, the Talmadge wanting to impose gradual abolition on Missouri, that the opponents of that, when they pointed to the Louisiana Accession Treaty, were referring to one body of rights referred to in the treaty, that the rights they were talking about were collective and political. And what they meant was conditions can't be placed on the admission of states because it's a fundamental structural principle that states are admitted on an equal footing with the existing states and the original states, and therefore they are fully sovereign. And therefore the sovereign rights of the people of Missouri to do what they want to with slavery can't be restricted because those conditions simply can't be imposed. If that's what the argument was, then the body of rights they were talking about, which you might characterize as rights, immunities, and advantages of citizens of the United States, are those they exercise in their collective political capacity, also as citizens of the state. Here are the citizens of Missouri. So that, I think, is what the opponents were saying. What the proponents were saying is exactly what Kurt said. No, that phrase in the Louisiana Treaty refers to the rights of individuals, not collective and political rights, and refers to the rights of individuals specifically under national citizenship. And of course, very few people would have said that there's a right of national citizenship. Some people did, but very few. There's a right of national citizenship to slave property. No, the consensus view was that's a question determined by state law, and hence whether one can own a slave or not is a question for the right state citizenship right, and it doesn't come from national citizenship. And that argument's right, but it doesn't really meet the argument that the other side is making. That's why I say it looks like a situation in which two sides are talking past one another. And so rather than a term of art, which is shared among people who understand the technical usage, it may be that what we're seeing is the development of code words. That is to say, a particular phrase that a subgroup of people, not participants in a technical discourse, but some politically defined subgroup of people, a way in which they use the word. And that's not the same thing as a term of art. There's also a problem with the Missouri debate, is they are political states in which terms are often not used with the precision that we lawyers would like. And if you look at Senator Morrill's list of rights of citizens of the United States that Kurt has, he runs together collective political rights, rights of state citizenship, like access to the diversity jurisdiction. It's not all clear that he's actually got a very good list of rights of distinctively national citizenship. Justice Miller, I think, at Slaughterhouse did a better job of that. It looks more like Morrill just went through the Constitution and tried to come up with some issues governed by federal law. And that's one indication of something being a right of national citizenship in the privileges and immunity sense. But it's only an indication of it, and his list isn't particularly persuasive. That's what you'd expect in a political argument, but that means that political argument may not be a really good source of terms of art. That's what I wanted to say sort of specifically about this problem, the historical emergence of the possible term of art, meaning of those words in the early 19th century. I also want to say a couple more methodological things about terms of art, and in part address the question to Kurt, since he's not so thoroughly familiar with this, and I will make only one of these points, so it's not that I have too much time to attempt to...
John, I'm holding up the 2-minute warning sign. You can't see it, but it's real.
I figured one of my great advantages of virtual participation is that I couldn't see the 2-minute warning. But of course, I got it anyway. And the more general point then I will make about the kind of evidence you would expect to find if there really was a term of art being developed is this. Terms of art have to be taught precisely because they are part of technical usage and they often run counter to ordinary language. So there should be evidence of the terms of art being taught both as a technical matter in legal dictionaries, in treatises, and perhaps more interestingly for our purposes, because of what's the source of a lot of our information on this question. One way in which terms of art are taught on the floor of Congress is when one person has to explain to somebody else, somebody who understands the technical acceptation of some phrase, has to explain to someone else and say, my learned friend does not know as much, and people who are experts love to do this, of course, because this is not seen as a high hat everybody else. My learned friend does not realize that in this particular trade in which I am expert and he is not, when we say pig, we actually mean horse, something along those lines, because not everybody is necessarily going to be the part of the craft that has the technical information. So if those two kinds of evidence are available for this particular term of art, that would certainly confirm the claim that that's what this was, that it had a technical meaning, that people who used the language in some specialized sense, regardless of their political views, as long as they were participants in the technical discourse, understood it that way, and in particular if they sometimes have to explain it to the laity, those would be strong signs that what we're talking about is a genuine term of art. And I think I've done it almost 10 minutes.
Thank you, John. And again, I'm sorry you couldn't be here.